Hello, everyone. So, this afternoon I have something to discuss with us, and I titled this, should I say, message, teaching, whatever in my language, and I titled it Igbala Onigbese. In English, I couldn't find the right, or let me say, perfect translation for it, but I called it a debtful salvation. I know I could have said expensive, but expensive doesn't really capture what I'm trying to say here. So I called it a debtful salvation. That is a kind of salvation that can put someone into debt, into serious debt. So the story that I want to use for this topic is found in Matthew chapter 8. Matthew 8 from verse 28 forward, or Mark 5 from verse 1 to 20. And this is the story of a demon-possessed man. A demon-possessed man who was healed by Jesus. According to the stories there, the summary is that Jesus found this man, acting like a typically demon-possessed man. And then Jesus said, okay, he concluded he's going to heal the man. He was going to cast the demons out, but somehow the demons were begging Jesus not to send them out of the country. And then Jesus was like, okay, where should I send you demons out to? And then the demons were like, okay, there is a herd of pigs over there. If you can kindly just send us into the herd of pigs. And Jesus was like, oh yeah, go into the herd of pigs. And then the demons left the man and went into the herd of pigs. And then the pigs, being demon possessed, all of a sudden they became demon possessed, and then all of them started running down till all of them collapsed into the river. That is a very simple way of explaining the story. So that's the summary of what happened there. And then afterwards, everybody saw what happened. Yes, they were marveling that, oh wow, such a miracle. But then eventually, in the later part of that story, we saw that the city council people, the authorities, or the city people, they were begging Jesus to leave their country. And then Jesus left, leaving the demon-possessed man to be proclaiming the miracle that Jesus had performed for him. So I like this story because it is a unique perspective on what deliverance means, or what it means to say Jesus saved somebody. So I call this story a debtful salvation because in this story we can see that there was a salvation, but the kind of salvation that pushed a particular set of people into a kind of debt. Okay, the very first debtor in this story is the farmer, or let me say the owner of the pigs. Because when we say a herd of swine or pigs, a herd is not one pig, not two pigs, not even three, not 10, possibly not even 100. A herd of pigs could be as many as thousands of pigs. Many pigs, many animals, a herd, an entire herd, reared by someone or a set of people, I don't know, read by them. Now imagine if you were that farmer, because okay, one miracle worker came into your city, and then that miracle worker now asked some demons to enter into your herd of pigs, and then because of that all your pigs have committed suicide. I'm sure that you, as the farmer, you will not be happy. In fact, I'm pretty sure that you'll be part of those who were begging Jesus to just leave, to just get out, because Jesus, despite saving somebody, despite delivering somebody, Jesus caused an economic loss for another person. Jesus was saving somebody, but putting another person in debt, in loss. We all know that animals are not very easy to rear. They are not cheap. They are expensive in one way or the other. And even for these people, somebody who has a herd of swine, yes, may be well-to-do financially, but even at that, the person will definitely be affected by the loss, sudden loss. All your animals committed suicide because of one miracle worker who claimed to be the Son of God. I'm very sure that you, at that point in time, it just simply wouldn't make sense to you, because why do you have to bear the financial loss just because Jesus was healing a demon-possessed man? And left to Jesus, he could have actually just told the demons, oh, okay, disappear into somewhere, or maybe enter into a tree or something. But for some reason, Jesus permitted them to enter into the herd of pigs. Why he permitted them, I don't know. Why Jesus couldn't have just said, okay, you demons, just maybe go to hellfire or disappear into another country or disappear into water or something. Jesus could have said anything. Jesus could have even said, oh yeah, you demons should just die. All of you should just die. I believe Jesus could have said so, but Jesus didn't say so. Jesus permitted someone to suffer economic loss, financial loss, because of the salvation of another person. So the farmer was the first person who was put into debt here. Then aside debt, the idea of being put into debt, the city people, the people in the environment of the demon-possessed man, they were also affected. Why? Think about this. A herd of swine. Let's say a herd, even if let's say they are just 100, a herd would be actually thousands, presumably. But let's say even if it was just 100, a herd of swine, all of them committing suicide into a water body that was at least a significant source of water for people in that city. All of them collapsed into the river. What do you think will happen to the river? I don't know how big the river must have been, but dead bodies of pigs in a river, I'm very sure that it is not only the owner of those pigs who was affected. If it is a river, definitely it has water. A river is a water body, and if it has water, that means people are using that water for something. They may not be drinking it, but they will definitely be using the water for something. Even if they are using the water to wash clothes, you personally as a human being, will you go and wash clothes inside the water that 100 pigs died inside, let's say this morning or yesterday or even last week? Will you be comfortable taking your pot to go and wash it in the water that hundreds of pigs died inside? Or even if it is your body, will you be comfortable washing your body inside a river that you witnessed hundreds of pigs fall inside that water and commit suicide? Demon-possessed pigs. I'm very sure many people wouldn't want to do that. So because of that, one can safely assume, I don't know how big this water was, but one can safely assume, no matter how big the water is, it is actually still irritating to experience. Why would several pigs just jump inside water and just die? I don't know. I don't want to begin to imagine who is going to pack the dead bodies of those pigs. I don't want to know. I don't even know how to imagine it. Maybe they packed the dead bodies of the pigs. Maybe they just left the bodies of the pigs there to just decay. I don't know. Either ways, people in that environment were affected. If they were not affected in some way, they wouldn't have begged Jesus to leave their city, because they were affected. They saw Jesus as an impending disaster, as somebody who can cause hundreds of pigs to go and pollute our water source. Who knows what next he would do? Therefore, they begged Jesus, please, before you cause further problems for us, just go. So the city people were affected, and the people in that man's environment. And lastly, I just want to emphasize more on the fact that the people begged Jesus to leave. So 3 points so far. Number one, the farmer, the owner of the pigs, was put into economic loss. Number two is the fact that the people, the city people, must have been affected because their water supply was polluted. And number three is the fact that the people specifically begged Jesus to leave. They didn't even just say, oh, Jesus, don't do that again. No, they said, please just go. Like, just leave. They begged Jesus to go, and Jesus actually left. Now that teaches us something. We say salvation, okay, yes, salvation, everybody likes salvation. But I want us to understand that the concept of salvation is not always as glamorous as we think it is. It's not always as, enticing as we believe it to be. Because there are a couple of things we can learn from this story. Number one is the fact that one salvation can actually put another person in debt. It may not be financial debt this time around. It may not be financial loss, but your salvation can actually impact another person negatively. This man, he got his salvation. He was demon possessed and he was healed. But what did his salvation cause? Financial loss for somebody else who is completely unrelated to him. Somebody who probably only knew him because he was demon possessed. They were not related. They were possibly not friends. Somebody who didn't even know this person. Imagine that you were that man. I'm sure you'll be angry that What do I have to do with this man that I will be affected just because he had to be healed of his demons? So it's a two-way thing there. We don't know how we are being affected because somebody else is receiving a particular kind of salvation or help from God. And we don't know how the help we were receiving from God is affecting other people. But we have to understand that salvation is not always as glamorous as we paint it to be. There is usually a cost, either for you yourself that is being saved, or for the people around you, the person who is around you, whether they are related to you or not, or whatever. There is usually a cost of salvation, or let me say there are costs of salvation, but you may bear the cost and you may not bear the cost, but there is usually a cost of salvation sometimes. And then the second fact is that the fact that the people were affected, that shows that you, as someone who is being saved by Christ, your environment can be affected. Yes, we know that our environment can be affected positively by our salvation because, we are saved, so we spread the gospel, spread Jesus, and all of that positivity. But sometimes you are not always able to affect your environment positively. Sometimes Jesus, who has brought salvation to you, to save you, Jesus may do it at the expense of your environment, at the expense of factors in your environment, at the expense of your family, at the expense of your marriage, at the expense of family as in maybe your spouse, children, or family as in your parents, siblings. God can save you at the expense of your friends, at the expense of people around you, people in your workplace. God can save you at their own expense. It is very possible. It is very, very possible. And this story is a typical demonstration of that. And the third lesson we can learn is that, to support what I said, that salvation is not always as glamorous. Sometimes salvation has, let me say, a counterintuitive effect. When somebody is saved, we see it as Christians, we see it as a good thing that, because the person is saved, your life will become better, things will change, people will see you as a new creature, old things will pass away. Yes, it is good. But sometimes salvation can actually, your own salvation can, instead of making Jesus entice people, like instead of making people see that, wow, this your Jesus is sweet, see how your life just changed after you accepted Jesus, see how your life just transformed. Instead of having that effect, the salvation in your own life can actually make people to see your life and be like, is this the Jesus you accepted? I don't want. Because that's exactly what these people did. They saw that Jesus healed this man, but because of what happened as a result of the healing, they were like, no, they don't want Jesus again. They didn't consider the fact that this is the person that just healed a demon-possessed man. That one did not concern them. The fact that there was a price, a negative thing, a kind of debt that was attached to this man's salvation, it drew the people back from even accepting Jesus. So at that moment, the people who were begging Jesus to go, imagine how they will feel when the demon-possessed man is saying, accept Jesus, he healed me, he saved me, he did this, he did that. They'll be looking at the man with bombastic side eye that the Jesus that saved you but caused problem for us, Abi, we don't want your Jesus. That's how they'll feel. So sometimes your salvation can actually have a counterintuitive effect. Instead of making people to want your Jesus, it may make people feel disdained, repelled by, you are saved and your life is like this. I don't want your Jesus, so me too, I'll accept your Jesus and my life will become like yours. I don't want. Or you accepted Jesus and then that's when different problems started happening to you. Only you lost this one, you lost that one, you lost this one, you lost that one. And people are looking at you that, and it's after you accepted this Jesus that your life became like this. I don't want your Jesus. If this is how your life is displaying Jesus, I don't want it. So we just have to understand that salvation is not always as glamorous as we paint it to be. We like to talk about salvation and be like, receive Jesus, your life will be transformed positively, all your problems will go away. It is not true. Accepting Jesus can be the start of a brand new set of problems that you've never experienced before in your life. And it may also be the end of problems that you have been battling for years upon years upon years that you could find no solution to. So let us redefine what we mean by salvation. Let us change our orientation and understand that yes, salvation is salvation, but the level of positivity it has for us differs. Some people experience problems when they accept Jesus, but they have to endure it, because accepting Jesus is just not always easy. Accepting salvation from God is not always easy. Sometimes it has a price, and sometimes it has a cost for you or for people around you. So thank you very much for listening.